Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorin Alliance. I'm Jacob,
And I'm Luke.
and in this live stream, we are going to be talking about the news, a show, and reviewing a movie, and also doing a question that the other person is talking about. So if you like the sound of that, watch and also comment down what you thought about the movie as well.
Okay, so as Jacob said, we've got quite a few things to get through today. This is our Friday version of the live stream, so we usually try and do something a bit bigger than we do on a Monday. So first up, what have you been watching? What have you been watching the last 2 weeks since we did the stream?
I've been finished off Devil May Cry, what is a video game that has become an anime on Netflix. So really enjoyed it, got renewed for a season 2. It has a bit of problems when it kind of focuses on a character that wasn't involved in the video game to my knowledge, and kind of doesn't focus on Dante, the main character, as much, but when it focuses on Dante and the rabbit, who's the villain, it's a really good show. Ends on a cliffhanger for Virgil, his brother. So that's what season 2 is going to be about. So, but I am curious from someone that has played the game what they thought about the show, but I enjoyed it and looking forward to season 2. Also watched the other show called Murderbot, what I'll be talking about more in length later. So really been enjoying, and also more anime as well, but that's the main thing.
Also in terms of movies, we both have seen the new latest Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which we will be reviewing in the movie section. For me, watching on streaming, I've been watching The Last of Us each week as the episodes come out. I've also re-embarked in playing The Last of Us 2 game again to see and compare to what the show's doing, and there's lots of differences. Jacob asked me before our camera if I liked it or which one I thought was better. I think they're both equally as good. I don't really have a preference, but they're not the same. They pick different stories, and I can see why. For a game, they need the story to focus on, one or two people. The show, they want to build a bigger, more character development to other side characters so then they can extend the show, which I assume that's probably what they're trying to do. Other show-wise, really nothing too new this week. I've been
not watching The Royal Gemstone?
I watched the first episode of that. Had I watched that when we talked about it last stream?
Yes.
Yeah, so I watched the first episode. I haven't gone back to watch another. I've been quite busy this week, but playing a lot of The Last of Us mainly.
And Curvy, the enthusiasm is still going well?
It's still going well. I'm in the last season. I haven't added another episode yet, but this is pretty common of me when I get to the last season of a show to drag it out, because when you know that there's no more coming, you're kind of trying to prolong the inevitable. So, yeah, I'm guilty of doing that.
And also, didn't we predict how they're going to finish the show as well?
Yes, I have a prediction. I worry if I say it, people will comment, but I think that it's going to end in a similar vein to Seinfeld, where they go to court, they bring in all these people that he did wrong by, and then they kind of basically slander his character and say what a bad person he is, and then he gets sent to jail. Or maybe they do a twist on it where this time he doesn't. So they're going to play on that. I think they will. And I think it will be funny because it's acknowledging that Seinfeld got it wrong. But even if they would have completely copied it, it's still funny because that admits that they know they got it wrong. So it's almost comedy genius by repeating the same thing again, I think. So that's all I've been watching, not a whole lot. In terms of, I think I saw another movie. No, maybe I didn't. So that moves us on to what's in the news section. So there hasn't been a whole lot of news recently. In terms, there's been a few new shows that have been renewed for further seasons. So Fallout's been renewed for season 3.
That's exciting.
And we haven't even got season 2. I do think I want to revisit and watch Fallout again. I really enjoyed that show, and I was only thinking about it the other day how much fun it's been. Maybe that's my next task after finishing The Last of Us. See if I can convince my wife to watch it, see if she will like Fallout because she likes The Last of Us.
Do you think Fallout has a better edge to it than The Last of Us? Because personally, I prefer Fallout to The Last of Us.
I think it's a bit different. I think this post-apocalyptic world thing is a bit different. I know zombies are post-apocalyptic as well, but this is more about like nuclear holocaust and the fallout from it. So I think it's a bit more interesting. And also, like through watching the Mission Impossible, that they were kind of alluding that's what the entity was going to do. So you like, would we end up in a fallout type situation? So it's been playing on my mind. I've been thinking about it. Also in the news, we've had America recently put the tariffs on the Australian, New Zealand movie industry, basically to try and hope that they'll stop making movies here and making them back in America to make America great again and to, make America all this money. But we all know that making films in America costs a lot more than making them here in Australia and New Zealand. So New Zealand have fought back by now offering grants of a total of $330 million to anyone that wants to make films in New Zealand. So by doing that, they're hoping to offset the tariff amount. So rest assured, if there's Peter Jackson's going to make any more Lord of the Rings films, you're not going to see it in the Grand Canyon. They're going to still film it in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Also, we've got, weirdly, I didn't know this, the Oscars are now making it mandatory that anyone voting has to have watched all the movies in the category they're voting for, which seems a given to me.
Yeah.
The sheer fact that you could pick a winner and you only watched one film, I guess it explains how Dune wins awards. I guess people only watch one film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. And then we also found out that Hulu is going to reboot Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I must say I saw bits and pieces of it when I was a kid, but I can't say I've seen it all. Have you a fan of Buffy?
No, I watched Angel instead.
Is that the prequel or sequel to Buffy?
Sequel.
Okay, so yes, I've seen bits and pieces, but I never really got into it. I can see why it was popular, though. It was kind of in that era, pioneered that whole vampire era before we got to the Twilight and the Vampire Diaries. They were kind of the originals, so I can definitely see why it took off. Will the new one be popular? Remains to be seen. But the person that was cast to do it was a female by the name of Ryan Kiera, which was in the Skeleton Crew. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew, the movie, the show I have not seen yet. It's on the Star Wars on Disney Plus. So that's what's going on in the news. Let's move into TV and streaming. I want to hear. Tell us about Murderbot and what your first impressions are.
So Murderbot is actually based off a book series, short novels. There's been 7 of them. So season 1 is obviously going to cover the first book. So they already have content to have seasons about. So I don't know if season 1 is obviously going to focus on the main book. So obviously, as TV shows do, they're probably going to take their own inspiration and use the book as inspiration. But the main concept is that the Murderbot is working for the company and helping some hippies out in this unknown planet with what they need to do. The AI Murderbot has actually unconnected himself from what was holding him, and he's actually a free thinker. The show's actually making out if he was a human, he's actually autistic. So I guess it's cool, but he's not because he's AI. And yeah, it's for a sci-fi show. I'm really digging it. It's not too long. The episodes are actually pretty short. There's been some complaints that they're not long enough, but personally, with modern shows going for like 50 or 40 minutes, it's actually nice breath of fresh air having a not so long show. So, but I think the main problem is that because it's short, you won't feel like the investment for waiting for that week will not be as worthy. So I think it's better binge watching it or waiting, maybe instead of waiting for that one episode, waiting the following week and watch 2 episodes. But it's a really fun show. Obviously not for everyone because not everyone's into sci-fi. But if I had to go from a score, it's probably around like a 7 or a 6 to start off with. I think it's interesting, but it's not as good as like Star Wars Endor or something else. But I think it's fun.
How many episodes have you seen?
2 out of, I think there's like 10 or 8 coming out.
Okay. Yeah, you showed me the trailer, and to me, I could see why some people would like it, but I know it kind of screamed like a mix between trying to be comedy and also trying to be a little serious, which I guess is appealing for some. But it wasn't enough to get me excited, and there was also a lot of like no name or B list actors in there, which often puts me off shows. But yeah, I'm not doubting it's good. I don't think I'll get around it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
not
yeah.
very well.
So still in the world of streaming. So upcoming releases. We've got Love, Death, and Robot coming out on Netflix.
Actually started it.
Yeah, Star Wars Andor they released new episodes yet or about to start?
It's all finished now.
Okay. Poker Face is coming out on Peacock and Stan. You watched the first season of that, didn't you?
Yep.
From memory, you said it was a bit. How she'd always come up with the solution and the way she did it was a bit questionable.
Yes, it is.
We've also got, you told me that the Creed/Rocky universe is going to get expanded a bit more.
Yeah, on Amazon Prime, getting a show.
Yeah, so the show is going to be based around the gym that's in the Creed franchise. So whether we'll see Creed or not, or just references to him and Rocky, and it's going to be about a new up and coming. I reckon they've gone Italian and they've gone a black boxer. I reckon we're going to get a Hispanic boxer in this one. I reckon. Okay. I reckon they're going to go change it up. Obviously, boxing is massive in Mexico and anywhere and Spanish-speaking countries, so that would make a lot of sense. I could be wrong; they might have already announced that, but I would have thought that would make sense. A young Hispanic boxer, probably, or a young woman Hispanic boxer. Yes. That's where I think they might go. And yeah, so that's what we've got in the world of TV and streaming.
We're also actually getting a Spider-Man noir live action with Nicolas Cage coming out next year.
Yeah, someone else told me about that, and I asked them, was it live action? They said, no, it's animated.
No, live action.
Okay, very interesting. Because I keep seeing these different posts about, this person's going to play Spider-Girl, and this person's going to be, Spider-Gwen, and I'm like, in what? So I'm guessing they're referring to Noir and all these other things that are coming out. So, Okay, that's very cool. So that's in the world of TV and streaming. So now we move into the movies. This is the biggest section. So, you want to review Mission Impossible first, or do you want to have a look at this Superman trailer?
Maybe do the trailer first.
Okay, so you get the trailer up.
Yeah.
So this will be the second trailer, I believe, of the Superman movie. The first one you can check out our trailer reaction, or maybe we did it on a live stream. But our thoughts were that it looked like there was a lot going on and lots of villains, and didn't know where it was going. So maybe this trailer might release a bit more. Jake and I sit on both sides of the fence about this. I'm looking forward to the film, but question whether it'll be any good. Jacob's not so much looking forward to the film. So here we go. Apologise that you won't be able to see it being a live stream, but we'll watch it quickly and we'll tell you our thoughts on it. Or you could alternately watch it along. So 3 minutes long, about press play.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
You'd let me interview you as Superman?
Sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come
How could you ever verify that it was actually Superman?
It's a lot.
Oh,
Today,
take
the
that,
Secretary of
buddy.
Defense said he was going to look into your actions.
Mm.
That's fine?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Oh, did you now?
Maybe.
Oh, look at him.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're going to be?
I'm not the one
Was that
being
black and
interviewed.
It looked like
it.
Did you consult with the president?
Oh, Luthor.
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of the United States.
Oh, building. Oh, it's coming down, baby. Slow motion.
The same situation and consider the consequences.
People are going to die. beer.
James Gunn. Oh, this. Mm.
Choices. Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Indeed. Actions have consequences.
Superman.
Superman.
He's not a man. He's an it.
It.
Somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation.
Mm.
But will not accept that.
Ah!
I cleaned your boots. Go get them for you.
I don't need boots. I can fly, woman.
It looks so gimmicky, but I really, really want to see it.
Yeah.
I do think it will be good. I just the villains everything looks a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, too much.
You have a dog?
Krypton!
I'm liking the fact that they're adding crypto in there because it's nobody else have really done that except for the cartoons. Okay, what are your thoughts on it? Change your opinion? Any more excited about it?
I'm more excited about it, but I still personally think there's too much in it. I think Jurassic World and Fantastic Four will be better, but I'm more excited than I was. I think I'm around a 7, but
I reckon a lot of that's probably going to be flashbacks
mm,
because she's interviewing him and going, "Oh, what about when you did this? And what about when this happened?" I reckon a lot of it's actually flashbacks, and he probably only fights one villain. It'll probably be Lex Luthor. So I think that's where it's going. So yeah, I'm always going to be excited about anything Superman related, but I think it might be a bit gimmicky. But I'm 100% going to see it as soon as it comes out. So yeah, so it's got my money. Whether or not I'll be recommending will be another story. Okay, so let's get into this review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Should put a little asterisk next to it. Is it actually The Final Reckoning?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, tell me, briefly explain this movie and what's going on.
So basically, it's part 2 from Dead Reckoning, and it's been 3 months since the events of part 1, and the AI, the entity, has gotten control of the entire world, has had disciples, is controlled by fear around the world. Nations and people, the people don't trust their own government, spreading fear around the world, and the entity's goal is to create chaos so the entity can get the codes and spread its chaos so it can nuke the world. And so we basically see Ian Hunt trying to stop the entity, and Gabe as well, the villain from the first movie. And it definitely is Mission Impossible with this movie and seeing the stunts and everything like that.
Yeah, it's I would describe it as, I'd say it's not Mission Impossible. Its mission was anything they did at all possible. Like, it's so crazy, but nonetheless I enjoyed the film. It was definitely intense the whole way through, but yeah, the things that they do and all the coincidences and all the things that have to go right is just wild. But I guess that's what makes the film good. I guess it's like you think of the Fast and the Furious films where they're just ridiculous. This is trying to get it to that level, but not so silly. Like everything in there is like, no way, someone could do that. Like all these, but it's like they pull it off and it makes sense, which is better than what goes on in that franchise. So quite cool. Let's get into our scoring. As always, we've got our 10 scoring spots, and then we give that a total score out of 100, which we then give it at its percentage of what it is out of 100. So what do you give the plot and storytelling for this nearly 3-hour film?
So because they're really part 1 and part 2, so you got to consider that, but this is its own movie. I'm going to give it an 8. I think it has a really strong movie, but it's not perfect because you got to go, oh, there's so many coincidences. Everything went right, and you go, oh, it probably shouldn't have went right, but it's fantastic. If you if you don't consider every angle, but I really enjoyed the story. I think the Entity is a cool villain. I think Gabe is okay, but we kind of needed Gabe because if you didn't have a human in there, the Entity can't really do that much besides having human disciples. So I really enjoyed the plot. It's not perfect, but it's fine for what its purpose is in showing that AI can basically be like Skynet.
I'm going to give it a 9. I actually think the plot was really clever. I enjoy the AI element and the Entity. I think it was complex but not confusing. So I really enjoyed that. I think it was very well layered and something that was somewhat relatable too. Like it's a genuine fear. Like sometimes you watch these like James Bond-esque type films and you're like, why does this villain want to like take out this, African nation's water and, so they can profit off gold? Or like, it's always like a bit like, seems either not big enough scale or like ridiculous. Where this felt right. It felt like it is something they could do, turn nations against each other and be like, well, they might fire at us, so we fire at them first and then create this nuclear holocaust. So I actually think it was a really, really clever story. So I'm going to give it a 9. What about the cinematography? We're talking visuals and sounds here. You got to keep in mind that all the stunts are real. He did his own stunts. He 100% was climbing from plane to plane. He did his own stunts. What did you think about this? Is obviously the main part of the film is visually what it does.
I think it does a well-deserved 10. I thought the stunts were amazing. Got to put it in. Was it completely realistic? But you got to give him credit. He did an amazing job for the work he puts in. I really enjoyed the action, the cinematography, the plane scene, and the summary scene were top notch. Not as good as the train scene in part 1, but still really impressive. And the main takeaway that I'm going to take away from this movie is very impressive and definitely deserves a 10.
I can give it a 9. I thought that it was really good. I thought the action sequences were great. I liked the use of the cameras they used to capture it. The only thing I don't like is that Ethan Hunt constantly running. I got sick of watching that. He was like chasing after planes. He's chasing after cars. He's running through London and there wasn't a single other person on the street. I don't buy that. So I'm going to deduct a point for the annoying running scenes they kept chucking in there. What I did like is compared to other action films, it wasn't like him fighting a massive dude or someone unrealistic. He was never really that good at fighting. He was just good at, navigating from place to place and getting out of tough situations, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for that. What about the directing of this film, which kind of encompasses the cinematography? That's the main thing. Do you think that they flowed? Were you gripped? Did you like the way they kept adding another element of impossibleness to this story?
I'm going to give this element a 9. I really enjoyed the storyline from part 1 to part 2. It made sense that the Entity would do that, and I really enjoyed the action scenes that had weight to it, and it was very clever that the director and writer thought it was cool to add something from number 3 and made it awesome, and also made a guest appearance or cameo from someone that was in the first one, and just some really awesome stuff. But you got to go for the. I know you kind of got to put your disbelief, but I kind of go for everything to go perfect for them. You kind of go, well, that it's hard to believe, so that's why it doesn't deserve a 10, because for everything to go right, that's unrealistic. Sorry.
I'm going to give it another 9. I think here for a long movie, I felt gripped the whole way. Going in there, I was certain that the good guy would come out on top. Maybe a few people might die along the way, but I still was engaged and like on the edge of my seat going, oh, they're going to get out of this, even though you kind of know they will. It's very odd when a movie throws a curveball and they don't. So, but it still managed to keep me, really engaged in it, which kind of leads on to our next category, which is experience and engagement. So as you see with action films, they kind of flow almost all one and the same. There's not too many elements to an action film besides the action. So what was the experience of this film? We both saw it in Screen X, which is like the bigger wraparound screen where you get a proportion of the film where they kind of, at your peripherals, you see it and feel immersed. Do you think this was a movie that was worth seeing at the cinemas, and what was the experience of it out of 10?
So my critical brain was going it again. Everything went right. But my fun brain was going, this is awesome. Best experience that I have. So I'm going to go in the middle, 9.5. Best cinema experience that I've been to. Fun. Had an awesome time. Blast. The action scenes. Screen X was cool as well. It made the engagement even better. Better than the Thunderbolt for action scenes, story. Had a just fun time and really enjoyed it. It didn't feel like 3 hours, actually. It was that fun. The first one didn't as well, but didn't feel like 3 hours. Enjoyed from start to finish.
So I think this was the best part of this film. It was the experience. I'm going to give it a 9.5. I'll deduct half a mark only because it felt, even though I said I was engaged the whole way, it was still long to me. And that is one thing. I'm not the biggest fan of long movies. Maybe they could have split it again down the middle and had a third part. I don't know. I'm only saying that it's long in the sense that I wouldn't watch it again, which is sad for a movie that's clearly going to get a very high rating. I've gone 9.5. If you were to say, Luke, will you watch this movie again? It's probably no. But in saying that, I think it has to be watched at the cinemas. If I watched this at home, I would have zoned out.
Would you watch it over Oppenheimer?
Again, Oppenheimer I've only watched once, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again. Not because it wasn't a good movie. It's just I've seen it once. It was long. Unless I've got nothing else to do, I can't see myself sitting down for that amount of time again for a film I've already know the ending. Yeah. So the experience was very good, but I think it was isolated to the cinemas. I think if you wait to watch this on streaming, you're probably not going to like this movie nearly as much. So that's probably why I'd give it not a 10, because it's specifically good in that one situation.
Yeah.
Moves on to our point of difference, X factor, creativity. So how creative was this film, and its X factor about it? Did it shine through? If it has an X factor, what do you give this out of 10 compared to other movies out there at the moment?
I'm actually going to give this an 8. I think it's creative when it comes to, even though AI, we're really in the stage of AI, I think it uses it realistically in bringing the energy and making things scary, people in fear. I really enjoyed that element. I actually wish it went deeper and kind of explored it more. I would actually like them to maybe make a TV show or something in the 3 months so we actually get to see the rise of people and kind of that timeline. I think would be ingenious. And also the only thing I can compare this to is Skynet, but I think this kind of does it more realistically and better. So that's why I enjoyed it about was its AI factor and kind of showing that people in fear, we trust AI so much that we kind of get so scared about it. Yeah.
I've given it a 9.5 because I reckon this is my favourite part of it. I think that it did the AI better than other films,
Terminator?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of them are like robots turning on humans, where this one was more about, digital warfare, getting humans to turn on humans. I think it did a really clever job of that. The only part I criticise is you mentioned that you think that the human element of Gabe needed to be there to do things the AI couldn't do. I probably would have rather than found another way of doing it. I felt that Gabe was lackluster for me. I didn't care too much about him as a villain or
Hmm.
fear too much, and his expectation of, hey, I'm going to basically force your hand to go and complete something that is basically completely impossible for me. It's like, well, what if he can't do it? Your whole plan rests upon him going and completing the impossible multiple times. What if he straight up just goes, I want to, but it can't be done. I can't get down to this submarine. So good luck, Gabe. Like, you know, so that was probably my only, I would have probably rathered it more be about the AI not knowing that they have a way of destroying it, opposed to a human going, I want to control the AI. Like, I know, I didn't enjoy the whole Gabe story arc that much, but still 9.5, I think the AI part was really cool, the entity. So what about the ending satisfaction? I believe that's a common trend in those films where they kind of all meet together and go, "We'll see you next time, pal," and they walk off. Like, what did you think about the ending of this film?
Well, it's very satisfying for this movie, but to be its final chapter, it's not. It doesn't feel like the ending of the series, so I'm going to go a 7 because it's the satisfying ending to this movie. Like, I was satisfied, but I was sitting there going, like, this doesn't feel like the ending of Mission Impossible. Like, he's got the AI, he's got it. Like, you know, he could do anything with it now. So to me, I feel like they could make another one. So to me, I don't think it doesn't. I didn't feel leaving that cinema going, oh, they're not going to make other one. If this movie makes money, they'll do other one.
See, I gave it a 6. I think it was the worst part of the film. The film had led on in advance that there was going to be a death. The fact that the death wasn't left to the end, it kind of happened in the middle, I thought was a miss.
Yeah.
It needed to for that story, but I think if you're going to kill off someone, it needs to be kind of the end part where they're all mourning over it. I also think that there's a point where if you're going to call something Mission Impossible and every time they complete it, there's like 9 times he's completed the impossible or whatever, it's like maybe there's a point where he dies completing the impossible. Like, he did it, but it wasn't possible for him to survive. They set up so many points in this film where they basically said Ethan Hunt is going to die here for the good of humanity, and he survives every time. I think I would have actually rather it died, end the chapter, but instead they've left it open, door ajar, in case they want to continue the franchise, which I think is a bit cheeky. I think good films need to have definitive endings. Depends how you look at James Bond, but I think the Daniel Craig one was kind of, I'm leaving there assuming that he died.
Yeah.
He sacrificed himself. He could not get out. And I'm like, well, that just puts an end, like there's a pin in it. It's done. Well, you don't leave the door ajar. I would rather that. So that's why I'm losing satisfaction. Or at least do we show him, fast forward him living a happy life. They lead on that he's in love with this girl, but they like haven't seen each other since the mission. They say hi and then they walk off again. Like, is that how their relationship works? They just, you know, hook up every time they have to go save the world? I think that's a bit odd. So I'm giving it a 6. What about the attraction and premise of this film? We're talking big Hollywood blockbuster action film where the lead actor is doing his own stunts, but it is also part of a huge franchise. How appealing is this to the average person?
I'm going to go with 6.5 because if this is your first time watching the franchise, even though for me, I really enjoyed the like Easter egg of the rabbit's foot from Mission Impossible 3 and tying it back, and also bringing the character that was in Mission Impossible 1. You're going to find this movie very frustrating because you are going to be like, they're finding it, you're going to find it annoying because they keep mentioning it too much. So the stunts are really cool and the story's fine, but I think they keep stabbing themselves in the foot because they keep mentioning it too much.
I actually think this film is actually quite attractive. I, unlike Jacob, had only seen the first one and only part of it. The one before this, the part 1 of this, and that. So I've seen 2 and a bit of the films, and I still think I probably could have watched this one as a standalone because they mansplain it to you at the start. you could, as a standalone film, I think it could still work. I wouldn't understand where the characters come from, and I still don't really, and I wouldn't know the backstory of Ethan Hunt. But the fact that they explain what's going on from the political landscape and and like what the entity is, I think I could still get onto it. And being a big blockbuster with high action, I think a lot of people could just get along and watch it. Would they enjoy it? I don't know, but I think it's an easy sell. So I've given it an 8. What did you give it again?
6.5.
6.5. What about the performance and casting? So big ensemble cast. What do you think?
I'm actually going to go with 9. I really enjoyed Simon Pegg's performance. Tom Cruise, the actor that played Gabe. I really enjoyed everyone else's performance. But no one's going to win an Oscar from it. But I was gripped with their performances. Really enjoyed everyone's momentum. I hope they actually do like a TV show or something from the Submarine Crew. I think they would be really good. The captain was actually in Severance, so he's getting a lot of roles. He's a really good actor.
I was trying to work out where I knew him from, and he looked younger than the person in Severance I was thinking of. But yeah, okay, that's where I know him from. So performance and casting, yeah, ensemble cast, big actors. Didn't really introduce too many new people, but I think they had the right people for the job. I don't want to overpraise it, so I'll give it an 8.5. I think that's a really high mark, but I want to go ballistic with it. What about its recommendability to others? So I kind of touched on that. Do you think it's an easy sell to someone that hasn't seen the franchise, or it's exclusive to people that are already fans?
I'm going to go with 7. I think if you enjoy action movies and you don't care about what's happened before with the characters, but you love AI stories and you love the AI wants to take over the nukes and everything like that, you'll enjoy that. But if you care about the bigger overarching storyline, the movie does its best to try and fill in the gaps, but you're going to be confused. But I think it's a movie worth recommending, but you're going to be kind of confused with what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to go a 7.5. I think the big stunts and the action's enough to try and convince most people to have a crack.
Yes.
You say even if you don't get it, you might just enjoy watching the sequence of things, and you'll feel the stakes. You can feel the high stakes in this film regardless. Okay, last point, genre point. So for an action film, how good is it?
I'm going to go, for myself, I'm going to go a 9.5. I can't think of an action movie because Thunderbolts to me is a superhero movie. So for me, I think it will be the best action movie of the year. And I can't think of other, maybe the new John Wick, but I think this will be better than other John Wick movie. But story-wise and the got to put in count, it is the last one in the series, and the ending wasn't so good. So, but for me, it's really good.
I'm going to give it a 10. I think that it was as good as an action film can get, really. It was long, but kept you suspenseful, which is unique. It was then completing the impossible, but it wasn't overly realistic. It wasn't, taking on crazy bosses. It wasn't, he's been shot 400 times or how's he not died here? It wasn't too much of that. The only time when you thought questionable he would have survived was when she resuscitated him out of the water. But there it explained through the being cold and frozen, it can slow his heart rate down and his chance of survival are higher than if it wasn't. So all of that combined, I think, is as good as an action film can get, really. So let's tally them up. So for Jake, we've got 8, 10, 9, 9 point. This is going to be high, I reckon. Very, very high. 7, 6.5, 9, 7, and a 9.5, which gives you an 83.5. Not as high as I thought, actually. I was thinking it might be in the 90s. What do you think? You think it'll be higher or lower?
Maybe a fraction higher because the 9s, I think.
I reckon it might be way higher, but somehow we always end up with the same score. So I don't know how that works, but 7.5 and a 10. 86. So not way higher.
Mm.
That makes sense. I was thinking when I'm going through this, I'm like, if this gets in the 90s, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Which it didn't. So I think that's a fair mark. If you asked me to give it one singular score out of 10, and I said it like an 8.5, I think that's a fair score. So there you go. There's our scoring. Okay. Any final thoughts on the film before we move to the next section?
Well, go out and see it. It's definitely worth watching. It's definitely the biggest blockbuster out at the moment. I think it's definitely going to make my top 5 movie list at the end of the year. And yeah, I think rightfully deserved. You're going to have fun and definitely worth the 3 hours it goes for.
Yep, I agree with you. So 2 more things left we got to do in this video. First, Jacob has this question he wants to ask me. He wants to see my opinion on it, and I've got to return serve. And then we'll do our top 5 limited release. Maybe we do the top 5 first.
Okay.
And then we can save the question at the end, so then we can gauge how long we can spend on the question. So we're going to do our top 5 today is going to be our top 5 limited series to binge. So not necessarily the best ones, but if you had to pick one this weekend to binge, what would you recommend? Which is kind of the same as your favorite. So what do you have at number 5?
My number 5 is The Night Of, that is on binge. I don't know where it would be on America. And the concept is this taxi driver gets arrested because the police thinks he's been arrested, and then the lawyer just happened to come there because of another case, and then he helps him work out that he isn't the wrong person, and it was really gripping and worked out because he's an immigrant and stuff of that nature. It's definitely worth watching, and it was an awesome binge, and definitely enjoyed my time with it.
Number 5, I've got When They See Us. So this is based upon a true story of a group of black teenagers that were incarcerated incorrectly over a rape and murder that occurred in Central Park. I think it's a must-see. I think it's really, really good. The only reason it's not higher up the list is it could be gruesome at times, and maybe it's not for everyone. So I think it's a must-watch, but whether it's something you need to binge this weekend straight away, don't know. So it's number 5 on the list. What about number 4 for you?
My number 4, Great Minds Think Alike, is When They See Us. When I first watched the first episode, I was like, this is a very brutal show, and how the police can instantly go, oh, we got our person, not even gonna look again. But really awesome show, gripped from start to finish. Definitely recommend if you want to binge a show. It's definitely worth watching. Same kind of issues that Luke had. It is very gruesome, very violent, but definitely enjoyed my time with it, and would definitely watch it again to remember more details and things from it.
Number 4, I've got The Dropout. So again, another true story about, it eludes me the name, her real name. It's played by Amanda Seyfried, and it's based on the female that created a company called Theranos, or Theranos, as she likes to say in the show. So it's my only criticism of the show is there's the trial isn't finished yet, and there's more to the story, which is annoying because I would have liked to have seen them do that. So maybe they should have waited to make the show until the story was basically done. Yeah. So we kind of left with, hey, do your own research, and then you look it up, and you're like, they haven't even finished this yet. She's still hasn't even been sentenced. So that kind of annoyed me. But nonetheless, a really good show and a very good podcast, I believe.
Oh, there's a podcast.
So I think it started from a podcast. So I think people really enjoyed the podcast, finding about what happened, and then that's when they made the show. So what have you got at number 3?
My number 3 is Blackbird. Out of all these limited series, this is probably the best one to binge, because you want to know, is the person that's been accused actually this person that has been accused of murder, awesome thing is that it's very gruesome and it is an epic show. I remember watching it going, I need to keep watching it. The only downside to it is that it did feel rushed at the end in the final episodes. Maybe it could have had one more episode, but overall, really enjoyed my time with it and can't recommend it enough.
So number 3, I've got The Crowded Room. The show didn't finish as good as I would have liked, but we had Tom Holland put in a great performance. Again, another true story about a gentleman that basically was the first to plead insanity and prove that, had multiple personalities and, they may or may not have committed the murders or weren't sane at the time. A really good, interesting look into mental health. Maybe a few tweaks could have made this a phenomenal show, but it was nonetheless really good and kept you gripped throughout. So The Crowded Room, which can be found on Apple TV, is a really good show to watch. What have you got at number 2?
My number 2 is 11/22/63, and the concept of this show is that James Franco finds this bar owner, and then he goes into this closet door, and then somehow he goes into the 1960s in the era when JF Kennedy hasn't been assassinated yet. And this is an awesome concept because we get to find out and see if it actually is better if he doesn't get assassinated. And of course, because of the bubble effect and stuff like that, the writers make it out that it's better they does get assassinated. So really awesome story based off a book with James Franco. This is definitely the most best sci-fi and out there concept out of all of them. But once you start, you'll want to keep finding out what's happening and what is going on, and best experience, better than Blackbird, because Blackbird is a crime drama, but this is awesome.
And number 2, as Jacob just mentioned, Blackbird. So Blackbird is my number 2. Again, another true story. Amazing acting performances by Paul Walter Hauser and Taron Egerton. Really, really top notch. Paul Walter Hauser really shows his range. You can play psychotic. You can play, he plays autistic pretty well. And in another show I've seen, and he can also be extremely funny when he plays Stingray in Cobra Kai. So great performance, really good crime drama, pretty easy watch. Does have some gruesome things in it, but again, something about crime drama and true stories to me, I think, is what makes a good limited series. What have you got at number 1?
My number 1 in the run to rule them all is Band of Brothers, based off the Airborne Company in World War I and landing in Normandy in World War II. This shows the horrificness of war and how the Airborne managed to learn paratrooping, and all the awesome characters. Mark Wahlberg's brother is in this show, and seeing how war is not a good thing. And I have also started this one again, and it is still an awesome ride. I love true stories, and this is one that I grew up with and still watch to this day.
So number 1, Jacob's already put on his list, is 11/22/63. This is not only my favorite limited series, it might be almost one of my favorite forms of media in total. I've watched this twice. I'd happily watch it a third time, based upon a Stephen King novel, a mix between, fiction and fact and sci-fi. It's just perfect, where, as Jacob kind of summarized, James Franco's character meets a friend that owns a restaurant, like a milk bar. He says, hey, this sounds a bit crazy, but if you go through this door, you can go back to the 1963, just before JFK died. I think the point is to stop the assassination. If we stop the assassination, we don't go to Vietnam. Yeah. The world would be so much better. This guy's been trying to do it his whole life, going in and out. But every time you come back, you restart the clock. And he can't seem to stop the assassination. Something gets in the way. James Franco then has to try and complete this mission. And I guess we get to see an alternate reality with the butterfly effect of would
the
it
cams.
would it have been better? And the show says no, it wouldn't have been. And maybe that was not the whole purpose of it, but it's one of those things where it's about time travel, but they don't go into the nooks and crannies of how, which I like. It's just a really crazy thing to think of. Like, hey, I discovered this portal in my backyard. Like, I don't know what it's there for, but let's see what happens. I just think it's a really clever concept, and the mixture between fact and fiction and buying into conspiracies makes it genius. It has the same kind of vibe as Fly Me to the Moon, except for less comedy, where Fly Me to the Moon again feeds into that conspiracy thing. No science fiction in it, unless you think they didn't go to the moon and going to space is science fiction. But yeah, it's kind of, if you like that, you'll probably like this. So that's my number one.
Yes.
Okay, what's this question you got for me, Jackie?
So, I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, and the question is, do you think excitement to go to the movies, watch TV shows, is at an all-time low because we're older, we've seen more things, experienced more things, or is that because things are being done before? Writing is at an all-time low, people have lost the critical thinking edge? Do you think it's a bit of both? What do you think it is when it comes to excitement? Because I know when I was excited for Mission Impossible, I was excited for it, but not compared to Avengers Infinity War, because I didn't know what was going to happen, and that ending made it worthwhile. Well, when you know the result going into it, it's like, you know.
Okay. It's a big question. There's lots of parts that break down. I'm going to give you my opinion. Instead of me asking you another question, I want to ask your opinion on it, okay? So I'll tell you what I think. So I think we're a mixture of saturation. We've seen everything.
Yeah.
Most shows are like,
Predictable.
You see it, yeah, they're predictable. You've seen a storyline, you've seen it before. And that's just unfortunate. Eventually, when you make enough content long enough, everyone's seen something. Eventually, if you have enough seasons of a sport, every team wins the grand final. That's just what happens. So that's part of it. We've also got the cost of living, so people are holding onto their pennies. They're not wanting to go to the movies, which has a direct effect. And then we've also got streaming just flooding us with so many options. So people are going, well, I don't want to spend money on that when I can spend money on this. I'll just wait for it to come to streaming, so that has an effect. Plus, we have the COVID effect. We went through where people were out and about living their life to suddenly being indoors. And a lot of people have gone, hey, I like this. I'm used to it now. And they don't want to go back out. But one positive of it is, if the whole movie industry was up here making a fortune and now it's dropping down because less people are going to the movies, because people are only going to see one film a year, what happens is you have one film that skyrockets and breaks records because, for instance, they release one film and it's the one that everyone's looking forward to. Everyone goes and sees that one film, where before people may have seen 40 films in a year, 20 films, so they all make a bit of money. Now it's this one's making box office records and this one's a flop. And it's not necessarily that the box office records one was that much better. People went to spend their money on this one, and then this one they waited for streaming. So it kind of pushes the cream to the top, and the others kind of fall behind. But yeah, I do think there's a bit of fatigue. We're not seeing too many new ideas, and I guess studios are all about making money, and if they can remake a story, make a sequel, make a prequel, regurgitate content that's already there, it's a whole lot cheaper and almost more chance of success by doing that.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts is that I think people are being more stricter with what they see and do because there's a lot more choices. Back when there wasn't as many things to do, you could not do as much. But now in 2025, you can play video games, you can play sport, go to the gym. There's so many more options. So people are more stricter with their time. And if they're not gripped by something, it won't excite them or entice them. So I think it's more, society is becoming more picky and times have changed from when we were younger.
There's also no doubt that people have shorter attention spans. Again, I don't want to bag social media, but when people, the most consumed bit of content would probably be people watching TikToks and Instagram Reels that are a second, a couple of seconds, or less than a minute long. We start to become the norm of going swipe, swipe, swipe. So the idea of going, do you want to watch this 3-hour Mission Impossible movie? You're like, oh, I could watch like 1 million reels on my phone. So it's like comparatively, you go, oh, is that a good use of time? So people, and then also movies are getting longer.
Yeah.
So our attention spans are getting shorter and movies are getting longer. It's kind of paradoxical. So I think they need to, maybe think about that and go, do we need to make things shorter? Because even now I go to the cinemas, I'm guilty of it, but you look around and you see people either on their phone or they're checking it. And because like you just can't help it. We're conditioned that way. So you're sitting in this film going, oh, there's somewhere else I want to be. So you're not fully engaging it. Plus, I think in the past, movies, if you didn't go see it at the cinemas, it's like, well, wait 6 months and then it'll be out on VHS, and then wait 2 years and you'll be able to watch it on TV on a Friday night with ads. So where now it's just like, oh, if I wait 3 weeks, I can watch it illegally online. If I wait 2 months, it's going to be on a streaming service. Like people are just, we're willing to wait because there's a million things to do. There's so many things you can do. We have a device in our hand that's more powerful than the first thing that launched the rockets to the moon. So like the computer that did that. So people are not willing to wait around for things anymore because you can just go, well, like people go, oh, are you excited about the new movie that's coming out? Or I didn't even take track of when it came out because there's so many other things to do. Or it's like, oh, is that out already? Like time just flies because people are so busy. So yeah, multiple factors to it. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up? We're very close to the hour mark.
I feel like was more excited for seeing Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith, but I think when you're older, you're obviously wiser.
I get very excited for films. When I see a new film, I just love the idea of seeing something new. So I don't like rewatching things. Even some of my favorite films I don't rewatch, or if I do, it's once or twice. So I get very excited about the films, but I don't think there's not that group atmosphere of, hey, oh, this movie's coming out soon. Like, I can't wait for us all to go. Like, I know you go and see things with your friends, but I don't think that's the norm anymore. So you don't have that group vibe anymore. Where I always thought going to the movies was an experience. It was something you would do with your friends. Where now, if you were to ask a lot of people that go, oh, couldn't be bothered, mate. Like, I've got so many other things to do. I'm too busy. Yeah. So I think the excitement for the experience of movies has kind of died off, sadly.
Yeah.
I don't think the industry will disappear. They're just finding new ways to make their money.
Yeah.
I think Apple's kind of pioneering that by bringing out blockbuster content only to streaming. And I think maybe that's the way going forward, which is sad about cinemas, but I think maybe the cinemas are going to be exclusively to big Hollywood films that need that big screen experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the live stream today. As always, you can comment for people that haven't seen it. And as always, like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye-bye.